These are 10 craziest Amazon stories ever told on the Joe Rogan podcast. JRE number 1284. Graham Hancock reveals the Amazon's wild truth. It wasn't untouched, it was designed.
Some of the more fascinating pieces of evidence in South America have come out recently about these channels and pathways that they've found in the Amazon that could not have been created any other way but by humans creating irrigation, humans creating, like it appears like grids, like a city grid.
Definitely. The Amazon is a colossal mystery, and it's one of the subjects that I explore in depth in America before. First of all, to give some basic figures, the Amazon basin is huge. The Amazon basin is 7 million square kilometers in area. And within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remains almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. And that's the 5.5 million square kilometers that is still covered by dense rainforest. And to put that into perspective, 5.5 million square kilometers is the size of the entire Indian subcontinent. So it's like saying, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored India, you know. We've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored the Amazon. It's the same argument. 5.5 million square kilometers. The view was, again, there was a dogma. There was a preconception. Human beings couldn't have flourished in the Amazon. It's not a resource-rich area. The soils are poor. It's a difficult area, challenging to get to, very far from the Bering Straits. So the view was that humans hadn't entered the Amazon until about 1,000 years ago. And then gradually, little by little, that view has begun to change. And it's begun to change because of the tragic clearances of the Amazon, because the Amazon rainforest is literally being cut down and turned into soybean farms and cattle ranches. And in that cutting down process has emerged things that shouldn't be there at all. For example, evidence that large cities flourished in the Amazon, enormous cities, which were larger than there was a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542. He was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture. And 100 years later, when other Europeans got into the Amazon, they couldn't find these cities. So they said, Francisco Orellana, that was his name, made it all up. It was just a fantasy. And then in the last decade, as the clearances of the Amazon have proceeded, we've begun to see the traces of those cities. What happened was that the Spaniards brought smallpox into the Amazon. Smallpox devastated the local population because there was no immunity to it. There was a massive die-off. The cities were deserted. Within 50 years, they were completely overgrown by the jungle, and that's why they were not seen by the explorers who came in 100 years later. But now the jungle's being cleared, those cities are emerging, and we can say that a city like London, which had a population of roughly 50,000 in the 16th century, there were cities of that size all over the Amazon. Wow. Huge numbers of them. And a possible total population of the Amazon that exceeded 20 million people.
What?
Yes, 20 million. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. And then you ask yourself, how did they do that? How did they feed 20 million people in the Amazon? Because it's a fact, rainforest soils are poor. It's one of the reasons these soybean farms are a really stupid idea, because once you clear the rainforest, the land is largely unfertile and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. So how did they feed all these people? The answer was they invented a soil. And that soil has a name. It's called terra preta. Archaeologists refer to it as Amazonian dark earths or Amazonian black earth. It's a man-made soil. It's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes that are not found in adjoining soil. It's based around biochar. And you can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the Amazon.
How did they create this?
Well, this is something that's not understood. It's still not understood by soil experts to this day as to how that was done, but it's one of many intriguing pieces of evidence of much higher development in the Amazon that it has been given credit for, and of a kind of science in the Amazon.
Jamie's got an image of it up there. So this is it?
This is terra preta, yeah. Exactly,
wow.
Exactly. And
so was that done by burns? Did they use controlled burns?
They did. One way that it was achieved was to do wet burning. of middens. They would be burned and smolder. They wouldn't burn fiercely, which just produces charcoal. They would burn and smolder, and that what is called biochar would result, and that's part of the fertility of the soil. But the mystery is the microbial content of this soil, which is completely different from the microbes in neighboring soils, and that remains unexplained.
So, what are the theories? Composting, some sort of advanced composting?
Yes, some sort of advanced composting. But again, what has not been explained is the microbial content of these soils. So there, first of all, is an issue of how two things: how large populations get fed in the Amazon, and evidence that there was a culture in the Amazon that was capable of manipulating the environment in such a way that it could support large populations with the invention of terra preta. Secondly, new evidence previously not recognized: the Amazon is basically a garden. The Amazon is a man-made rainforest. There are certain trees like Brazil nut trees or the ice cream bean tree, which are food crops, which are very, very valuable, and they dominate the tree regime in the Amazon. They're what's referred to as hyperdominant species. In other words, people living in the Amazon over thousands of years selected certain trees, which they then cultivated and grew. So the whole thing is not simply a wild, pristine rainforest. It's a very ancient man-made environment. And emerging from that man-made environment, as well as evidence of large cities, large populations, and this mysterious dark earth, are huge geometrical structures. And again, I go into this at length in America before because I love this mystery. We have in the UK structures that are called henges. I live in the city of Bath, and about 30 miles away there's a beautiful site called Avebury and another more famous site called Stonehenge. And what a henge is a ditch which has been dug deep, and then an embankment has been pushed up outside the ditch. When people first saw these structures, they wondered if they'd been built for defense. But then it became obvious they hadn't been built for defense, because if you want to create a moat, you put it outside your embankment, not inside your embankment. So a henge is an earthwork which consists of a deep moat with a large embankment outside it. And it can be circular, it can be square, and in the UK and other parts of Europe, it often contains stone circles, megalithic stone circles as well. But the henge itself is entirely an earthwork. What we find in the Amazon are thousands of henges that are now beginning to emerge from the cleared area of the jungle, and others that have been identified for the first time with LiDAR. LiDAR technology is being employed in the Amazon. It's non-destructive. You can see what's under the trees.
What is LiDAR?
Light imaging and detective radar. They bounce laser beams down into the jungle. There's a whole pattern of them. You need helicopters, and but it doesn't damage the rainforest. And you can strip away and see what's there. If this isn't too much of a diversion, let me give you the example of Guatemala. Guatemala is a small country. If I remember correctly, it's not much more than 100,000 square kilometers in size. It is filled with intriguing Mayan ruins. Everybody has heard of Tikal. What archaeologists didn't know was that literally within walking distance of Tikal, surrounding that whole area were more than 60,000 structures that they hadn't identified. And these have all been identified by LiDAR in a country that's just 100,000 kilometers in area. So you have to ask yourself, in that 5.5 million square kilometers of the Amazon, if LiDAR technology could be applied comprehensively, what would we find beneath there? And the evidence already is extremely tempting and extremely tantalizing. And I'm intrigued by these huge geometrical figures, which involve primarily circles and squares. And they are classic henges in the sense that they are deep ditches surrounded by huge embankments. They're extremely geometrical. For example, you can find an octagon surrounding a square. At a place called Jacosá in the Amazon, you can find a square perfectly enclosing a circle. Now that is an exercise called squaring the circle that our academics have given to the Greeks. They said the Greeks were the first people who performed that exercise. But now we find in dated sites in the Amazon that this was being done in the Amazon long before the Greeks.
What are the dates?
The earliest dates that have been found in these sites now are about 3,500 years old. About 3,500 years old. But the evidence is that the sites have been constantly remade. And what intrigues me is what remains in that 5.5 million square kilometers that has not been investigated yet. We are just, I think, looking at the edges of a mystery. The archaeologists involved, who are mainly from Finland and also from Brazil, feel the same. Their estimate is that there are thousands of these structures remaining in the jungle, and they're open as to how old they may ultimately prove to be. The investigation needs to be done. But what's fascinating about them is this very powerful geometry and astronomy. So a number of the sites are perfectly aligned to true north, true south, true east, and true west. I'm not talking about magnetic north. I'm talking about true astronomical north. To do that, there's only one way to do it, and that's with astronomy. So that tells us that astronomers were at work in the Amazon. The geometry is very complex and very precise. That tells us that people with geometrical skills were at work in the Amazon. And thirdly, the scale of the sites of hundreds of meters, gigantic earthworks on the scale of hundreds of meters, tells us that this was highly organized project that was undertaken on a very large scale by very large numbers of people. It's a wonderful mystery, and it deserves much further attention. And that's Jacosa, exactly, the squares, squaring the circles. So you can see the outside embankment, and then inside it is the square ditch, and then there's another embankment inside that, and a circle inside that.
It's crazy that they made a road right through that. What
well,
assholes.
A modern road, yeah, because there's no respect for for the ancient world, unfortunately.
And there's another one. Look at that! Wow, that's incredible.
So there are thousands of these
found the stuff that they found in the Amazon. What imaging technology were they using to find all this?
Initially, it was entirely found because areas of the rainforest had been cleared. Economic interests said, we want to make a cattle ranch here, or we want to make a soya bean farm here. So we're just going to clear the rainforest. In the process of clearing the rainforest, they start discovering these earthworks that had previously been completely overgrown by the jungle. Then the next step was to say, what could we do to find out more about this? Obviously, they don't want to destroy more jungle, and luckily we have a technology which is LiDAR, as I mentioned, which uses radar. And using LiDAR, they've been able to identify many more of these sites, and then to get to the sites without destroying the jungle, and to begin excavations on them, and to find that they go back, in the cases of the ones that have been explored so far, at least 3,000 years. This is an intriguing development, completely unexplained in our understanding of the Amazon. And what it suggests is a heritage of extremely ancient knowledge. You don't wake up one morning and create a perfectly geometrical square or circular earthwork that's perfectly aligned to true north, south, east, and west on an enormous scale. There has to be a background to that. There has to be a reason for doing it. And the evidence is none of these sites were lived in. There's no habitation refuse found in them whatsoever. We don't know what they were used for. I make the case in America before that they're connected to a system of ideas which is found all around the world, which is to do with death and the afterlife destiny of the soul.
In episode number 1240, Joe Rogan and Forrest Galante recount the Amazon's craziest moments: crocodile attacks, venomous snakes, and tribes untouched for 60 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like what it must be to just be in the Amazon itself as well, right?
For sure.
In the jungle, not just the rivers and the lakes or whatever's out there, but the actual jungle itself.
It was incredible. The jungle there. So we were in Colombian Amazon, and talk about untouched by people. There's been this kind of ongoing conflict in Colombia for many, many years. So we were the first Westerners to go there in over 60 years. So the village we flew into, they'd literally never seen white people before. And then we went 200 kilometers from that. So middle of nowhere.
Did they want to touch you?
Yeah, hair. Because their hair was very dark and very different. And I'm not particularly fair, but just to touch the hair and see the blue eyes and stuff, they were just loving it.
Were they friendly?
Super friendly. The culture was very stoic. There wasn't a lot of smiling or crying. There wasn't a lot of emotional exchange. But straight away they came and greeted us, shook hands, said hello. It was really cool.
Wow, that's gotta be. Now, how do you set something like that up? Do you have a liaison that acts as a go-between between you and the tribes?
Yeah, so we did in this case have one guy who communicated. I speak Spanglish, I guess, and they all speak Spanish from back in the day. So we set it all up. It's part of the wildlife stuff that I do. We literally flew a DC-3, a World War II cargo plane, into this cocaine dealer's airstrip. And then
What?
that's how we got there. I mean, like, mind-blowing stuff.
Current cocaine dealer or former?
Former, yeah. Well,
Who knows?
TBD.
It's still Colombia, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, I was that one was really cool, really remote.
How crazy is it that they learned Spanish from people who came over on boats from Spain and it just stuck?
Isn't that nuts? And took over the whole
Region.
Yeah, the whole world. And
Except
here's
for-
this tribe in the middle of the Amazon that has this language from another continent.
Well, and Brazil, right? From Portugal.
Right.
It's really incredible when you stop and think about it. I mean, it's incredible, but it's also part of it's a little sad. Like, wouldn't you have loved to have heard what their original language was?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
what it sounded like?
Well, they did. So it's funny because when they didn't want us to understand what they were talking about, they would switch to their native Indian language. So they were bilingual, a community of 25 people that have never left, and they're bilingual.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Now, their native language is what? What is it?
It's an Amazonian Indian dialect. I honestly don't even, they might have said the name, but I don't recall.
What is the name of their tribe?
Also, I'm not even sure. They're so isolated, they're unaware of what country they live in. They don't even know that they're in Colombia.
Really?
Really. They're just like, to them, they're Amazonian. They're not Colombian, Ecuadorian, Brazilian. They're Amazonian.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So they just stay. Like
Stay.
where they are, they stay.
And the village we were in is literally, I think it's over 200 kilometers from the next village of 15 or so people. And they don't have fuel. They don't have motors. They just in this pocket and they just subsistence live.
And they're all barefoot, right?
Yeah.
Do they have those crazy splayed out feet?
Big feet, because
Yeah.
they're not very big people. They're like small Indian people, but really big, kind of useful feet. And the way that they could run up and down trees and climb stuff. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like so much more athletic than you could imagine.
I'd imagine, right? They've been doing that their whole life.
Their
right?
whole lives, yeah.
Now, when I say splayed out feet, what I'm talking about is that people that walk barefoot in the jungle for long periods of time, like their whole life, their toes spread out and their feet almost look like a hand.
Oh no way! I
Yeah.
did not pay enough attention. That might have been the case,
You
but I
just
didn't
weren't
notice
looking
it.
at their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing to stare at dudes' feet.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Steve Ranella, who's a good friend of mine, told me about that. He was in Guyana and is the same thing, and they actually got some pictures and videos of these people's feet. But look at these guys up there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't notice anything like that.
Yeah, this is the that's how do you say that? Horani?
Sounds right.
Horani, you think?
Huarani.
Horani Indian splayed feet. So it's very strange. Like it's kind of the opposite of what happens to women when they jam their feet into those little pointy shoes,
Right.
Where they get the toes kind of smush onto each other.
Ballet feet.
Yeah, it's horrible. Instead of that, they're all like crazy spread out. What in the fuck is going on there? The guy's
The
got
top
like
is hands, I think. but-
wood. Yeah, the top is hands,
yeah.
but the bottom is like wood feet.
But
Like,
that's got to be like what our feet are supposed to be.
probably right.
Right?
Yeah, thick ass toes that actually have muscles in them that move.
That you can use like a tool, like your hand. Yeah.
So, and these guys just can climb up trees with them, so they grip the side of the tree with their feet like a hand.
Oh, I mean, I didn't notice, like I say, the feet just like that specifically, but the way they could everything's covered in mud down there, right? It's all wet. It rains every day. And they could run up and down these tree trunks, to get up and down the village. And here's me and my crew with our awkward cameras and stuff. And we're slipping and sliding and falling over.
Yeah.
And they're literally like, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they walk? We must have looked like infants to them.
Right, and you guys probably have boots on and shit that
Of
get
course.
muddy and fucked up and.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we're wearing, muck boots, and my one buddy's got waders on, and, we think we're all hard and cool because we got all this gear, and they're just, running around in shorts, barefoot.
It is so fascinating when you see people that don't have contact with the outside world. I'm sure you're aware of that recent story. The missionary was killed by the people on North Sentinel Island.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is one of the weirdest places because they've branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago or something like that.
Right.
When you're around these people, what do they do if they get injured?
So funny you asked that because we kind of had that same question, right? And they don't leave. They stay in the village. They have a shaman at the village who blessed us with a crazy green powder, and that's a whole nother story. But they have a shaman, and he is their doctor. However, he has no access to any Western medicine. So it's only his learned knowledge handed down through generations plus jungle powders and whatnot. And And that's it. So we spent a day, because we had a medic with us, doing like kind of village help, if you will. Everybody had ringworm. Everybody had respiratory infections. There were a lot of lady problems in the village that our medic had to deal with. I mean, there was a lot of health issues, and you don't even realize it.
I'm going to write something down before I forget. I'm sorry, it's totally unrelated. But
No, all good.
There's a doctor named Peter Hotez that's coming on the podcast, and I have to follow up on him. When you start talking about the people in the jungle, he's an actual doctor who is he specializes in infectious diseases in jungle and tropical climates, and he's like, everyone's infected with something.
Everyone. He'd 100%. Have a heyday down there.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's probably been.
Yeah.
But so when these people have ringworm and all these different infections, do they treat it? Do they have like some naturopathic cure or some shit?
I think it's kind of a 50-50. Like a lot of it they don't treat because it's just part of everyday life. Like when I say everybody had ringworm, I meant everybody had it. So I don't think there was any kind of treatment or cure. It was just kind of part of them. Huh. But other things, the witch doctor or the shaman was trying to treat. And then we kind of went in and we had like medication for ringworm. So we dewormed everybody, and with the shaman's blessing, and he was like super excited to have Western medicine in the village. And
would you use like Lamisil or something like that?
I couldn't tell you. I think it wasn't topical. I think it was like a Vermox, like a pill that you take that kills the worms.
The weird thing about that is like, don't you leave and then they're going to get it again, right?
I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? Yeah, totally. That we were having the same dilemma, and it was like, do we interfere because we're from the outside world? Do we help? And we talked to the shaman through our translator, and he said, please help, please help. So we gave, including him, everybody this dewormer, but, they'll just come back.
Yeah, and also they probably don't understand the consequences of taking some antibiotic that's going to do some weird shit to your whole biome, right?
Right. And
Kills
these are all the
good stuff too.
It's such a moral dilemma. You're there and you're like, I want to help. Do I? Is it helpful? Is it hindering? Yeah. Our medic was like, it's undeniably going to help. They need this. And so we went for it, and it was, it seemed to help. Everybody felt fine, but we were only there a couple more days before we left. So who knows?
Wow. Now, when you're talking about ringworm, like, are these guys covered in it? They have big patches of it? Like, what's it like?
Feet and legs had big patches of it. Yeah.
And if you don't know, that's the same shit that's athlete's foot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, ringworm and athlete's foot are the same kind of funk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why people tell you to pee on your feet.
Oh, I thought that was just for fun.
It could be for fun. Depends on what you're into. But I think that's the idea behind it, is that you're somehow or another you're killing the bad bacteria when you piss on your feet and you have athlete's foot. That might be horseshit. Maybe, yeah. With me, you always have to check. Definitely give that a little look-see. But it's a real common thing with jiu-jitsu.
Gotcha.
So guys,
just all the mats.
Yeah, it's real common. So just guys get it, and there's people really fuck up where they like put bleach on it and a bunch of different things to try to kill it, and it winds up getting worse, and also fucks up all the natural skin flora. Jock itch, athlete's foot, and ringworm are all types of fungal skin infections known collectively as tinea. They're caused by fungi called dermatrophytes that live on the skin, hair, and nails and thrive in warm, moist areas, the jungle. Gross. So it seems like they're just going to get it.
That's just what it sounds like. But
what
still
do they
trying
do
to help.
for it? What do they do for it?
I didn't see them treating that at all. And when we pointed it out, they were like, yeah, we know about it. They were more concerned with things that were like dire. Like there was an infant, maybe not infant, maybe 3 years old, and he was hacking up a lung. And he was asthmatic, according to our medic. So our medic gave them like an asthma medication, and he just said, if he has an attack where he can't breathe, give him this. And to be super real with you, when we walked away, our medic was like, I doubt he'll live to see adulthood.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And were you giving him inhalers? Did you give him...
I'm not sure, to be honest, what it was that he left with him.
And what about like injuries? What if they break a leg or something like that? What do they do?
I don't think anything. Yeah.
Was anybody? I mean, you got to think these people are climbing trees. They must
constantly fall, get bitten by stuff. There's tons of venomous snakes out there. It's wet, it's muddy, it's slippery. They're building stuff out of very rudimentary tools. I mean, it's nuts. They have to get injured.
It's so interesting that we have this understanding of medicine and doctors and hospitals, but that's probably pretty fucking recent.
Oh, Of course, yeah. I'll tell you a story, Joe. I was in Myanmar late last year, and we're down there filming this thing, and this kid, like 22-year-old crab fisherman, gets bitten by a crocodile.
Oh.
Croc grabs him by the arm, grabs him by the thigh, and death rolls. So it breaks the arm in 15 places, compound fracture, the real deal. I can show you pictures of it. It'll blow your mind. And we hear about this, and we're minutes away. It's kind of one of the similar situations where we're the first Westerners to be there in a long time. We go bombing over at high speed, and we get there, and the mom is off mourning the death of her child, but her child is sitting there still alive. They have written him off. And mom is literally mourning the death of her child, and he's lying there conscious, but in total shock. Fortunately, just because of the situation, we had a speedboat, everything else. We bandaged him up, tried to keep his arm stable and his leg stable, put him in our speedboat, and it was 6 hours by speedboat to a village that to a hospital, really. And so he got there, and his life was saved. But we asked the people in the village, what were you going to do? And they're like, there's nothing we can do.
Wow.
So he was just going to bleed out or go septic, and that was the end of it.
Ooh, what a fucking rough way to go.
Right.
Ooh. How did he get away from the crocodile?
I don't know. I think he was just hitting it or hammering on it. He was crab fishing in the water, and it came up and grabbed him, rolled a few times, and at some point he escaped. How he even got back in the boat and made it back to the village, I have no idea, because his leg was shattered, his arm was shattered. It was brutal. And it was a canoe, it wasn't like he had a little motor or a wheel to drive. He canoed back.
One of the most disturbing stories I ever read was these guys were kayaking in an African river, and the guy in front of them got grabbed by a crocodile, and that it went under, and it plunged like a bobber as the crocodile pulled him out of the bottom of the kayak.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
That's awful.
Imagine being the guy behind him and watching that
just
shit.
Just watching, yeah, and knowing that you're pretty much helpless.
Did you see any jaguars or anything?
I've never seen a jaguar. I've seen a lot of lions. I'm from Africa. I don't know if you knew that, so I've seen a lot of lions growing up. My family did safaris, and then I've seen mountain lions here in California, leopards, stuff like that. I've never seen a wild jaguar.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when you were in the Amazon?
I think they're really elusive. I know there's areas that are hot spots. All of the locals were very nervous and kind of knew about them. I went out for bushwalks at night and stuff, and I'd just go me and one guy with a camera. And they were like, oh, be careful, peligroso, very dangerous, don't do it. But
Peligroso means very dangerous?
Peligroso, danger, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so we just go and, I'm not trying to act like we were tougher than them or anything. We would love to have seen one, but they were very aware of them. So they were there. We just didn't happen to run into one.
Sort of like mountain lions.
Exactly.
Yeah. They say that mountain lions are, if you live in a place that has them, Wyoming or Colorado or something like that, they know where you are.
Right.
But
right.
They might be around you all the time, and you might rarely see them.
Exactly.
Maybe driving home, you see one skittering into the bush.
There was a nuts video, I think it was from the LA area. Did you ever see it, where the security cams picked up this mountain lion that was walking through this very residential neighborhood, and you'd see people would walk by, and then 30 seconds later he'd dip out of the shadows and then dip back in, and then the next set of people would walk by, and nobody had any clue he was there.
Yeah, it's crazy that a giant predator can move around like that.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're there, what would you have done if someone got bit by a venomous snake or a spider or something like that? Did you guys have any anti-venom? Were you prepared for something like that?
I mean, that's my department, right? As the wildlife guy, that's kind of my department, is make sure nobody gets bitten, make sure nothing like that happens. And we handled very many venomous snakes and caught anacondas and all kinds of great stuff. We did have, my main camera guy, his name's Mitch. He got absolutely lit up by these wasps one night. And we all were. We got 12, 14 stings each. But I looked back in the canoe at one point, and his eyes are just super swollen. He's bright red. He's sweating. I'm like, Mitch, you okay? He's like, His throat started to close up. He was having an allergic reaction. So we had to hit him with antihistamines. And I'm not actually sure if the medic administered the EpiPen or not. But he was we're in the middle of the jungle. We're 6 hours from a village that's then a full day's travel by a charter plane from a hospital. I mean, middle of fucking nowhere. And his throat's closing up. And that's why we take a medic with us. Thankfully, we had this emergency medic. He administered the antihistamines, and Mitch was okay. But these things do happen.
Do you ever, while you're on these crazy adventures, do you ever out there going, this is the last one?
Nah, never. No way.
Never?
No way, man. I love it. I live for it.
Wow.
Episode number 2209, Paul Rosalie reveals unbelievable stories from the Amazon, where oil companies, hidden tribes, and raw survival collide in terrifying ways.
I did an expedition right before Lex came. I did an expedition in March, and me and JJ went to the back. We basically picked a part of the Amazon that we'd never been to and went, let's go see what's over there. And it took us.
You just picked a spot.
We picked a spot because it was around in a place that, like, on the map, there's no towns, there's no nothing. So we said, let's go there. And it took us a week. We had to take a commercial flight to a smaller flight to a smaller flight, and then we had to take a boat for 3 days, 9 hours a day, to get to the start of the expedition.
Now, when you do that, do you check to see if there's uncontacted tribes that have been reported in those areas?
What you do is you get to the last town, and you go,
You wait.
what's that way? And they tell you. And the scariest thing, and this was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, was that there were these tiny little people there, and so there was like normal Peruvians walking around, like loggers, gold miners. They're chainsaws. There's people who had gasoline barges. There's also prostitute boats that drive around, like brothels that go
On
up
a
and down.
boat?
Yeah, and you can pay them in wood. Surprisingly enough, board feet of timber, no joke.
Whoa.
Yes, you get to the real, like, this is a place where, like, you feel like you went in a time machine, and you get out there, and there's people with modern machines, but then off in the corner there were these little people, and they were still holding onto their bows and arrows, and you look at them, and as soon as you look at them, they hide. And we were like, who are they? And they were like, those are the Nawa. And we were like, what's going on with the Nawa? And it turns out that the Nawa were shooting at the oil company guys that were trying to get into this deep, again, a part of the forest that never has been accessed before. Now it's starting, people are reaching deeper into the Amazon. And the problem is they'd be going up this river, and there'd be arrows flying by them.
Oh, my God.
So how'd they solve that problem? They funded the missionaries, sent the missionaries out there to talk to the Nawa and convince them to come back to the nearest town. So these are uncontacted tribes who are right there. Like, we're standing there, like, kind of talking to them. We're like, hola. And
How do the missionaries communicate with them?
the missionaries go, like, Bible up, and they just hope. And they just fucking hope.
Are these the Mormons? Like, what groups?
I actually don't know. 'Cause
Mormons
I
love to do that.
I don't know what group it was. I know I saw the missionary, and he gave me a dirty, evil look and walked away. Like, this is dark shit. It was
The
dark shit.
missionary gave you an evil look.
Oh, no,
That's
these are not
interesting.
people that are okay. And so these terrified, think about this for a second.
So what are the missionaries up to?
They're working for the oil companies. They're clearing out the forest. They're clearing the way. They're just doing it peacefully.
But are they actual missionaries, or are they acting as missionaries?
Whatever it is, they're going with the missionary protocol, getting these people to come in. So what they did was, through 2 translators from Spanish to Yine to Nawa to something, we asked this guy, and we had to stay away because we didn't want to get them sick. And we had to say, like, what are you doing here? And the guy was like, I'm trying to go back to my house, like where I live, not my house, my jungle. And he said, these missionaries said if I came here, that then they'd help me in the food and, And they were very confused because the missionaries had brought back a boatload of them and kind of tricked them, because then when they got to the town, they just showed up to capitalist society, which, even though it's super remote, they're like, you want food? You got to buy it. And these people have a bow and arrow, but there's no more animals around because they've killed everything.
God.
And they go, but I want to go home. And the missionaries go, well, do you got gasoline? Now they're stuck.
Oh, my God. And how far?
Like 3 days of driving in a boat, so like 70 miles by river.
Oh, my God.
And so these poor people are coming into modern society 1,000 years late with their wooden bow and arrows. They're this big. They're tiny little people, and they're terrified, and no one's helping them.
Oh, my God.
And it's the edge of the world, and it's exactly when I was reading this Comanche book on that expedition, and I'm going, this is the same thing. It's that manifest destiny. This is the end of their culture. There's no one who's going to help them. And they were just terrified, sitting there at the edges of the streets, and all these people are riding by on like motorcycles and rickshaws, and there's boats going by, and these people are trying to look for like a rat to shoot.
Oh, my God.
It was terrifying.
Oh, my God.
It was terrifying. I felt so bad for them because they had no idea. You could see they had no idea.
And they don't even speak the language.
They don't even speak. They're 2 degrees separated with language. So like you could speak Yine, which is the local tribal language there, but these people don't even speak that. They speak their language. So you'd have to go from Spanish to Yine to Nawa.
Oh, my God.
And we were there, and these people were going.
So how does someone know Nawa that you talked to?
Because one of the Yine guys that I knew was had been living there, so he'd picked up a few Nawa words, and so they were going. So
these people, how long have these people been there for?
I didn't get that, but they were literally living in a camp at the where the trees were. They stayed by the trees. They wanted to be by the trees.
Oh my God!
And so there's people you could buy a Coca-Cola there. This was you could buy gasoline, Coca-Cola, whatever. Way out there, there's a boat that has some gasoline cylinders. You can fill up your boat, and then this is the long. It's during the gold rush in Alaska. It's the last place before you go into the wild.
Oh my God!
And it was really horrible to see. And I think reading that the Empire of the Summer Moon made it even worse because
that's so dirty. So they trick these people into going to the town, and they just abandon them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And these people, how could they know that someone would do that to them? They don't even know what a town is like, right?
They don't even know what a town is
oh
like.
My
They're terrified.
God.
And so they're still, you see them, they're washing by the river and they're trying to feed their babies, but they're
probably
starving.
No one gives a fuck.
And no one gives a fuck. And they're treated like dirt too, because humans are humans, and so
right.
No one wants to help them. Nobody could talk to them. And then of course they're kind of frustrated, right? So they're not exactly friendly either.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, crazy.
Have you seen that overhead? There's a view, a camera is on some the helicopter or something, and it's photographing these guys, and they're all fucking pointed bows and arrows. This one, how wild is that?
You think that's wild? I can show you something that I can't show publicly, but look at this.
Really?
Yeah, I got something that no one's seen.
Ooh.
This is from last week.
I'm gonna show everybody.
No, you're not. This is from last week.
Oh wow.
So what Joe's looking at right now is a bunch of uncontacted tribes standing in the rain, and again, they don't speak the language of the people that are trying to interact with them. So this is across a river.
Are these those same people that were in that town?
These are not the Nawa. This is a different tribe.
Oh my God, man, this is wild. This is like imagining what it would be like to run into people hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Are you on the single guy yet?
Yeah. Incredible, man. I mean, that guy looks like someone from the past.
Yep.
He doesn't look like someone from now.
Yeah, and so what they did was they sent them a canoe full of bananas. Now that guy's standing there in the cold shaking his head he might just not know the word for blanket.
It's insane, man. This is incredible.
Yeah.
And these are essentially some of the last people on Earth like this.
Yeah, and so there's a huge debate about how we protect them because there's two camps. There's some people that say, they're running scared during the Industrial Revolution. They pushed further out and they're too scared to come in and get help. And then there's other people that go, no, they're noble savages and they live out there because they want to and they're the last free people. But looking at these videos and seeing some of the stuff, they're trying to carefully interact with some of the most remote tribes. And so there's people that live 7 days from the nearest town that speak a dialect of native language in the Amazon, and the tribes will come out and they'll come out and they'll come out and they'll just look. They'll look at them. They'll make gestures. They'll do things. But if you get too close to them, they shoot you.
Ugh.
So you can't just go up to them and be like, hey, man, what's up? Do you want some eggs?
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
So what happens is this standoff on either side of the river where you have people that live a remote lifestyle and are very, very indigenous, but that can still interact with us, that the modern world have seen a dollar before, have seen a spoon, the wheel, blah, blah,
Wearing
blah.
an Under Armour t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And then these people show up, and they got their dicks tied to their stomachs, and they wear no clothes, and they're making sounds. Sometimes they're using animal calls.
They tie their dicks down so they don't get scratched up?
They tie them up. So if you look at this dude, here, look, I'll just pause it on when he's...
That's so gangster.
It's like, yeah, man, I got to tie it up, otherwise...
I mean, think about the stuff they're walking through.
You don't want to drag it on the ground.
Where everything's got a thorn.
So look at that. He's got that thing tied up. But yeah, you don't want to get in. I guess you don't want mosquitoes having access to the head.
That could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
Aren't there little fishies that swim up your dick hole too?
That's only if you're peeing in the water.
Oh.
A much worse thing is when you take a shit in the jungle.
Uh-oh.
All the bugs are coming for you.
Oh,
so you gotta be on dick patrol while you're doing that, because you're gonna get bug bites on your ass, but you gotta make sure
they don't go in your asshole.
Well, sure.
Right? Does that
There's
happen?
that too, yeah. Because as soon as you crouch, dung beetles bigger than golf balls start flying through the air. So
Oh
as
my
you're trying
God.
to take a shit in the
So
Amazon,
they know when an animal
as soon
crouches.
as you fart, there are animals following you. And so you're sitting there, and you have to. There's a bunch of things you got to do. First, you got to break your stick, right? So you have like some leaves. The leaves is to keep your ass bug free, to get the
my
mosquitoes
God.
away. And then the other thing you got to do is you got to be holding a tree because you're crouching, right?
Right.
But then you use your ass stick to swat away the dung beetles because
Oh,
they come
boy.
in. Zzz, and one dung beetle hit my friend Mosin in the eyeball, and like scratched his actual eyeball because it flew straight. And they have rhinoceros horns coming out of their faces,
Yeah.
and their exoskeletons brutal, and they're heavy. It's a big bug, and they're airborne, and they're moving quick, and when they want your shit because and they're gonna take it, and they're gonna roll it into balls, and they're gonna push it through the jungle, and they're gonna lay their eggs in it.
Oh God.
So yeah, taking a shit in the jungle is like a whole. You have to know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, you could end up in a lot of trouble.
Good Lord, man. So many things to think about, and this
Yeah.
is your everyday existence.
Yeah.
When you went to that spot,
Yeah.
when you decided let's go there, and it takes you 3 days, and you get up there and you see these people, did you wind up going deeper into the jungle and seeing how they actually live?
So,
Can you, or is it dangerous?
well, both. Well, I had some trackers with me who were extremely experienced in all of this. They knew where we could and couldn't go, and we went on it took us a week to get to the launch point, and then we went on a 6-day expedition from there, where we're eating fish out of the river, we're drinking out of the river, camping on the beaches. And then we did reach a point where they found signs of uncontacted tribes.
And that's when it gets dangerous.
And they went, we're going back.
Wow.
100% going back. I mean, you have to. For everyone's, there's absolutely no way that you can continue going. You're going to either get killed or be killed. Like it turns into. I mean, these guys turned around, they loaded the shotguns, and they were like, we turned around this moment. They turned to the boat, and like the moment that you
because
find,
they know you're there before you know they're there.
Oh, they know you're there.
Yeah, if you're coming in a boat too, it's probably making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Wait,
They hear
just
that thing from a long ways out.
3 weeks ago, some loggers, they found them. They were the chainsaw. The loggers were chainsawing on the Tawamanu River. The loggers were from the look of I'm kind of Sherlock Holmesing the image I saw. The loggers were cutting this log. They were dead where they were standing. So you think these guys are going cutting this log, and the tribes are surrounding them. They had no idea.
Wow.
And they just started throwing arrows from the shadows. And so they found the bodies of 2 loggers.
See if you can
just
find
taken
that,
out.
Jamie.
This was within August. Peru, tribes killed. There's a picture, like a blurry picture of it.
Of the loggers?
They don't show you anything. It's just when it comes in.
I
the
bet you
media,
could find it.
Episode 1293 uncovers the Amazon's craziest truths as Andrew Santino joins Joe. From wiped out populations to forgotten megacities hiding beneath the canopy.
Hey, wait, this reminds me of when you talk about that island, that private island,
Yes.
Sentinel
North
Island?
Sentinel
North
Island.
Sentinel Island?
Yeah.
Planes still fly over that or no? Are they not allowed to fly over that? Is it restricted airspace?
I don't think it's restricted. No. But you can't land there, and you can't circle.
Right.
You can't visit.
India owns it, right? Doesn't India control it?
I believe so.
Yeah, and it's like 10-mile radius. Mm-hmm. I saw a thing online that said a boat crashed there, and you could still see on Google Images the remnants of the boat.
Yeah, they came for the people in the boat too, and the helicopters got them off the boat right as the people were like pulling up in
Oh, so they
little
lived.
rafts and shit. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, they lived, but the villagers were coming for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine stumbling across a village?
They've been fucked with sometime in the past. You know, that Commander Maurice Vidal Portman, that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Respectable Law on Twitter. He has a giant thread about it. It may be pinned on the top of his Twitter page, but explaining like one of the reasons why those people are so hostile.
Right.
And it has to do with this British explorer who was really kinky. And
You went there to fuck?
yeah, who knows
He
what
wanted
he
Fuck
did.
Island?
Who
Yeah.
knows what he did, but people got sick because of him. You know, I had this guy, Graham Hancock, on,
Yeah.
and he was talking to me about all the different shit that they're finding in the Amazon and in South America, and that there used to be 20 million people that lived in the Amazon, and they died off because of sickness. They were visited mostly, like apparently Europeans, when they came in like the 1500s, they would tell these incredible stories about these huge civilizations in the Amazon. But then when explorers came back 200 years later, there was nothing there. And they were like, this is crazy. They lied. They must have lied. But it turns out they didn't lie. What happened was smallpox ran through the fucking jungle and
White
killed
people.
everybody.
We did it.
And then the jungle just overtook these cities. And now they're finding these cities with something called LiDAR. They use these planes and they circle over this area, or helicopters, whatever the fuck they do. And they shoot this shit down, this LiDAR. It's like laser radar. And it gives you a detailed image of what's below the surface and what's
Holy
there.
shit.
And it shows them all these crazy structures, all these like roadways and irrigation systems and circles inside of a square. Like, it was villages and cities, and millions of people probably lived there. Fuck. And look at it. That's all the stuff they're finding now.
What?
Yeah. And all of it was swallowed up by the jungle. They think within like 100 years, it just vanished in the jungle.
Wow.
Because it's so lush and tropical down there. Dude, it was one of the most amazing podcasts I've ever done. To listening to that guy tell this story.
Right after this one, though.
No, you are the best. You're the best. But he's
This is kind of this is like the findings of Atlantis, right? Like when they started finding, you started finding
Very
more and more
simple.
land
Have
underground.
you seen this? They found traces of 5 drugs, including dimethyltryptamine, on 1,000-year-old South American ritual kit.
DMT, baby.
So that's like proof positive evidence that at least 1,000 years ago they were using ayahuasca.
Wow.
This was the drug pouch that was made from fox snouts. That
Yeah.
sounds so crazy.
Fox
but, like,
nose.
It literally when you see it, it looks like a nose of a fox.
They used everything.
And the fur
That
is
is
still
crazy.
intact. It looks really nice.
The nose. I wonder why they do that with a fox. It's probably like some cleverness. Do you know that that's what a shaman, that's like literally what a shaman is supposed to, that's what the definition is supposed to be in certain cultures?
Huh.
Certain cultures, it's a clever fellow. That's who the shaman is.
It kind of makes sense. They are just clever fellows.
But I mean, imagine that. Like, he takes a fox, that clever little fucker. I'm going to take his face.
I want
and
his
hide
fucking
my
face.
drugs in his face. Only a person would think to do something so
I'm gonna
creepy.
hide my drugs in this
or an
thing's nose.
insect.
Chipmunk cheeks.
Yeah, right? That would be the
Some
good
big
move.
pouch.
Yeah, a little pouch.
Those are good pouches.
that hangs from your belt. It's just chipmunk cheeks with all your coins in it.
From episode 1284, Graham Hancock unravels mysteries as wild as the Amazon itself, forgotten civilizations, cosmic alignments, and ancient secrets buried beneath the jungle.
I guess this is kind of my pet phrase. We are a species with amnesia.
It's my favorite phrase of yours.
We have forgotten so much more about ourselves than we remember. And what the process of history and archaeology should really be about is a process of remembering. We shouldn't be imposing our ideas of what we should have been on the past. We should allow the past to speak for itself. And when it does so, it speaks eloquently. One of the sites that we visited and explored for America Before was Serpent Mound in Ohio. I don't know if you've ever been there, Joe.
I know, I've heard of it, though.
It is an amazing...
Jamie's from Ohio. You ever be there?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jamie and I were
Yeah,
talking
for
about
sure.
it earlier.
What-
There's Serpent Mound. There's an aerial view of Serpent Mound.
Oh, that is crazy.
But here's the thing.
That's beautiful.
You see the head end of Serpent Mound there? So Santa and I went there at the summer solstice in 2017. We were there on June 21st, 2017. And my wife Santa is a photographer, and we acquired a drone for this specific purpose. And she flew the drone up 400 feet above Serpent Mound, and we sat it up there watching the sunset. And what happens on the summer solstice, and you can only see it perfectly with a drone. There's pictures of it in the book here. What happens on the summer solstice? You can see it from ground level, but you get up 400 feet, you really get it. The head of that serpent is pointing directly at a niche in the distant hills through which the sun sets on the summer solstice, on the longest day of the year. So it's a sky-ground alignment, a perfection that is taking place there. It's a beautiful thing to see, to watch that sun majestically sinking down into the horizon and see this awesome figure of the serpent gazing directly at it with its jaws open, almost as though it's about to swallow the sun. And then we remember that there are other sites around the world which are also aligned to key moments of the solar year, aligned to the winter solstice. For example, the Temple of Karnak in Upper Egypt, that kilometer-long axis targets exactly the rising point of the sun on the winter solstice. One of the interesting things about Serpent Mound, and I urge anybody listening to this, go visit Serpent Mound, and especially go there on the summer solstice, because that's the moment, that's the marriage of heaven and earth. That's when sky and ground unite in majesty at that place. But one of the mysteries of Serpent Mound concerns how old is this mound really? How far back does it go? And there have been arguments that there is a group of archaeologists who would like it to be just 1,000 years old, and they attribute it to a culture called the Fort Ancient culture. There's another group of archaeologists, in my view, who've done much more thorough work, who attribute it to the Adena culture. The thing about which goes back to 2,300 years ago or so, there's evidence for an earlier construction enterprise. It looks like the site has been continuously reconstructed and remodeled, as we would do with any sacred site. If it begins to wear down, you remodel it. And then you get later organic material being introduced to the site that may give you the impression that the site is only that old. What's intriguing about Serpent Mound is it stands on a natural ridge. And that natural ridge, and this is entirely an accident of heaven and earth, that natural ridge, the head end of it, if you like, is naturally oriented to the summer solstice sunset. Somebody, a long time ago, noticed that natural orientation, and they decided to monumentalize it. Here was a place where earth whispered to sky. The earth, in her own nature, looked directly at the place on the horizon where the sun was setting. This was a highly significant place. This place mattered. So they then created Serpent Mound on top of it. They memorialized it. They turned it into a special place that human beings had had a hand in making to honor the marriage of heaven and earth. And what I found researching this book is that Serpent Mound is not alone in that respect. A lot of people are puzzled by Stonehenge in England. Stonehenge is built on Salisbury Plain. And there are two kinds of big megaliths at Stonehenge. One of them are called Sarsens, and the other are called the Blue Stones. The Blue Stones, we know for sure, were brought a long way. They were brought from Wales to Stonehenge, a distance of about 150 miles. The Sarsens are found in abundance on a place called the Marlborough Downs, which is about 20 miles from Stonehenge. But until very recently, it was thought there were no Sarsens on Salisbury Plain at all, and archaeologists couldn't understand why Stonehenge wasn't built on the Marlborough Downs, where the big Sarsen stones, the 20, the 30-ton megaliths, were available locally and didn't have to be brought there. Very recent research, 2018 research, has provided the answer that two of those Sarsens were naturally in position all the time at Stonehenge, and they are Sarsen Stone 16 and the Heel Stone. And if you stand behind Sarsen Stone 16 and look at the Heel Stone at dawn on the summer solstice, you see the sun rising in direct alignment with the view. And the Heel Stone is like the sight on the barrel of a rifle targeting the sun, and that was there naturally. Earth was speaking to sky. The ancients saw that. They decided this was sacred. They went to huge lengths to bring the Sarsens, the rest of the Sarsens, from the Marlborough Downs to create the big stone circle at Stonehenge and then to put the blue stones inside it. But initially, what they were celebrating was a natural union of heaven and earth. And that brings us to the notion of as above, so below. That we are connected to the cosmos, that it is part of our heritage. We in modern cities forget the cosmos exists. We have all kinds of tech that can look at astronomy programs. We can all do that, but actually looking at the stars is something that's very difficult for people who live in cities to do. We're cut off from the cosmos. We're cut off from the notion that it is sacred, that it matters to the human creature. And what the ancients seem to have done is to realize how vital that connection is and to memorialize it and to celebrate it and to draw our attention to the intimate connection between ground and sky.
Yeah, light pollution sort of fuels our infantile existence in a lot of ways, right? Because it doesn't constantly remind us that we're a part of this great thing.
Episode number 2013 uncovers Paul Rosalie's wildest Amazon encounters, from jungle nights filled with glowing eyes to tribes living beyond all human rules.
I was very lost and very alone, and I was like on like day 6 or something of being lost. I don't remember. No, it wasn't that long of a solo. But I was lost and I was scared. And I was in a hammock.
How did you get lost?
Well, as soon as you leave the river, like you could literally walk 15 feet and then be like, I'm just going to come right back. And the jungle will like Blair Witch you. Because it's all green, so you just like think you know what you're doing. Just last week, I wanted to cross from one trail to another trail, and I was like, I'm a guide, I can do this. And I came back out on the same trail like a half hour later, and I was like, yep, that's what I meant to do. Let's go. And like, it happens to JJ all the time.
Really?
You cannot find your way in the
Do
jungle.
you use a compass?
Don't use a compass.
Why not?
Because actually, apparently, some of the iron content and some of the saps in the trees pulls the needle. It doesn't work really well. Like,
Even the trees are trying to trick you. Oh my God.
GPSs run out of batteries. You know, it's like you really you have to learn your bushcraft. You have to learn how to navigate in the jungle, and it's like which is pretty much you have to get just amazing at dead reckoning and remembering your course, because it's so dense that like we play with people. We go, we'll go see if you can go from here to there. And it's like they can't go there. They can't do that as soon as you leave the river. So like I had gone out on this solo, gotten lost, gotten scared, and then been like, oh shit, what if I just like into the wilded myself? What if now I'm gonna be the next kid that went and died in the Amazon? And like I like slept in the hammock, but this is like as I was learning, so I didn't realize that the hammock that I had bought had a mosquito net on top, but the back was not mosquito proof, so they could stick through. So my back was being destroyed by mosquitoes as I'm trying to sleep. And like a couple of nights of that. And so I finally fall asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear breathing right next to my face. And I like wanted to turn my headlamp on, and I just hear like right here. Like I could feel her breath. And I was like 6 inches away from a jaguar's face. And she just like, and then left. And she just came in. She wanted to see what that was. She was like, you're not going to move. That's what you're not going to do. She growled like right into my ear. And then later on. But that one's cute though. That's a cute picture. That's a cute jag.
Wow. And they vary in colors and the spots and everything, right? Like some of them are much darker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, actually somebody recently was like, where do you see panthers? And I went on this whole thing of like, a leopard or a jaguar, just like you can have albinos, you have a melanistic one. Yeah.
Wow.
And so like people would call that a panther, but a panther's not a real, there's no animal that's a panther. It's like a Kleenex. It's like it's just another name for it.
That is so beautiful.
But a black
Look
jag.
at that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, in South India they have the black leopards.
What an
are
amazing
stunning.
looking animal.
Look at the muscles.
Yeah, it's an amazing killing machine. And so humans don't get taken out by them?
I can only really speak for our region of the Amazon, but I haven't even heard a story about it.
Really?
Like no one. Our jags are just, we have like record numbers of jags. Like I think they're listed as near threatened, and we have like some of the strongest remaining jaguar populations in the world. It's incredible.
And
like
you barely see them.
We barely see them. The last one I saw was 2 years ago. And some people like go their whole lives without seeing them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because people walk off into the jungle and they don't realize. People, it's so funny living in the wild and seeing people show up there. And it's like people come and they're like, they smell like shampoo and cologne and bug spray and deodorant. And they're just like, if to an animal that has such better senses than we do, they might as well just have like sirens on them. And like you are this shiny, glittering foghorn of attention in the jungle, and like every animal is going to run away from you. And so people are always like, how come you go out and you see so much stuff? And it's like, I only shower in the river. I live out in the jungle. I smell like they do. Like I'm out there for weeks, and it's like I'm not going and like shampooing my hair. It's like, and so like to these animals, like they know when you're coming. Like a jag's just going to be like, oh, there's a human there.
Do you wash with soap when you wash in the river?
I do use a biodegradable soap. You have to keep your skin clean or else you just get infections. But like for the most part, like my clothing, everything, like I don't use anything that's scented because of that, because I want to be out there and just blend in. And that's whether I'm out in the field with elephants or whether you're out in Africa or India or whether you're in the Amazon. I want to be sort of like included. I want to blend in. And so like not that long ago, I was checking a camera trap and I thought it was we had students at our research station at the time, and I heard like the leaves going like and it was like September, so the jungle was dry. And I turned around and I was going to scare this person because I was going to be like, who walks that loud in the jungle? Like, you have no respect. And I turned around with my finger up, and this jag walked right by me on the trail and just went, what's up? Just kept walking, and I was like,
Oh.
finger up, and I was like, okay.
Oh Lord.
But I took that as good because at least I was my like scent trail was so that he didn't know I was there. I could see it on his face. He didn't care. He was like, hey. But I mean, he was 6 feet away. He didn't even break his stride. He just walked by me and was like, yo, what's up?
They don't think of you as food, so they just keep moving.
No, and I think they're, with big cats, they're the mothers teach the young how to hunt, and I think they're so oriented. Like with tigers, they're so oriented on horizontal. Get the neck from underneath, break the neck from up top, and it's like when they see a vertical animal walking by, I think they're like, first of all, I don't know what this is. Second of all, it smells weird. Third of all, where do I even, you got to be desperate to take that risk. I don't think that lions are a different story, but with jags, with tigers, with leopards, I've never ever felt any fear being around a jaguar, like any fear. I don't even take pictures of them. I just enjoy it.
Wow.
I let other people take pictures. If I'm with people, I'll let them take pictures, but I will not lift my camera for a jag. I'll just stand there and just
take it in.
Yeah. You get to see them so rarely. I don't want to sit there finally seeing one and then put another screen in front of my face.
Right.
Look through it through some glass. Like,
whoa.
yeah. Yeah, that's our camera.
They've started that's from yours?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that thing.
Yeah.
That is so majestic. What an amazing animal. Those glowing eyes.
Well, that's the crazy thing. You shine your headlamp into the night, and then when things look back at you, you got to wonder what it is. It's like,
well, when there's two eyes in the front, it's
two eyes in the front, yeah. But sometimes the deer, but then the jags do this thing where they move their head like this. They try and see around your headlamp. They'll like do this little side to side thing. Like the deer, they'll just blink at you. They'll just blink, and so you start learning the eye shines. You start learning the. Because then you can be out there at night and you look at something and people are like, oh shit, dude, it's a jag. And it's like, no, it's a deer.
When you were saying that the uncontacted tribe were speaking in monkey calls, what are they doing?
So JJ's dad used to tell us, he said, if you're ever out in the forest and something doesn't sound right, he was like, get out of there. And he was like, because they will use the tinamou calls, like the undulated tinamou is like, but like we know what that sounds like, but we also know what it doesn't sound like. And so like every now and then you'll hear one that's, different. And like we all get freaked out because we're like, that's how we do it. That's how JJ taught me to do it. Like if there was a bunch of tourists right there and JJ wanted me to come over and like chill with him and we wanted to go hang, he would just do that and get my attention. And like I know that it's not a tinamou, I know it's JJ. And so it's like they've taken that to a whole nother level where they can communicate. And so there was a group of guys who was upriver and they got surrounded. They heard monkey calls coming from different directions, and they realized that they were completely surrounded. And like at least one of the guys who was telling it to me, he got in the water and like crawled like a turtle and like escaped. And then the tribe showed up, and then there was this whole showdown where they actually shot one of the community members, and then one of the guys who knows some of their language was saying that it looked like they were mad with the guy that shot the guy. They were mad with him. Like they were like, why did you do that? Now there's going to be retaliation. Like, why did you shoot him? And like there was like a whole discussion happening while these people were like huddled in the stream waiting to see if they got killed too. So it's like I don't really, so when you get these loggers going in there, it's like, yo, we'll pay you to protect the rainforest, and like you don't have to do this. You don't have to be going into these areas that are that dangerous. So yeah, so at this point now, though, through all of this, though, we've established jungle keepers. We have 50,000 acres. We're trying to do 300,000 acres. And if we can do that, we'll basically be helping to establish one of the largest protected areas in the Amazon rainforest, which will encompass these uncontacted people. And they can stay uncontacted and they can stay safe and do whatever they want to do in the jungle, guarding the secret pyramids and the giant ground sloths or whatever the hell it is that they do. But we're close.
Now, how many uncontacted tribes are they aware of?
I think there's like over 100 different groups across the Amazon. Wow. There's also varying degrees of, and the other thing is the conversation so often gets turned to like they're, violent, and that they're people that live out in the jungle. And I have no idea how they do it either because, at night we need headlamps. We don't have night vision. All the animals have night vision. So it's like, what do they do that night? They're able to make fire in the jungle at night every day. if I gave you an entire book of matches, me and you, we sat down right now in the jungle. I was like, okay, cool. You got a machete and a book of matches. First one to make fire wins. We couldn't do it. It's wet. Everything is wet. So how are they? What's their? Are they doing bow drill? Are they doing? What are they doing? So
we don't know.
We don't really know. No. We don't know how they do that. We don't know how they stay infection free. We don't know what they do with their old people. We never see old people. We never really see children. And so like they move around and we see like groups of men on beaches. We see like that aerial picture where you see like a family group out. That's in turtle season where you have turtles laying their eggs on the beaches and the tribes will come out because that's easy food. You just pick up turtle eggs and eat them. But there's so much that we don't know about their lifestyle. And like people get so many things wrong. Just, if you leave them alone, then they won't kill you. If then people go, oh, they're Stone Age tribes. And it's like, well, they're not Stone Age tribes because they're alive right now. And you couldn't live out in the jungle, but they can.
Right.
So it's like there's elements of their botanical knowledge, their medicinal knowledge, their creation myths, their view of history. I mean, they're coming at reality from a whole different perspective than we are.
Wow. And there's really no way to get... Does anyone speak their language? Do we know what language they all speak? Is it universal? Do they have different languages?
It's not universal, and there was someone in our region who, like, captured a child from the uncontacted, raised him in a very remote community, and people have tried, anthropologists have tried. They've been like, hey, so what was it like when you grew up? And it's like, it's dark. He's just like, I don't remember. Like, no one's been able to get any information out of him.
How old was he when they captured him?
I think like 6. Like under 10 for sure.
Does he not remember? Or does he just not want to talk about it?
I don't know. There's all these underlying stories. Oh man, yeah. There's just. Then last year, some loggers went to a place they shouldn't have gone, and they got whacked. And sort of like the WhatsApp underground in Peru. Like everyone was sending each other pictures because one of the cops like sent to his family a picture of what the bodies looked like on like day 6, laying on the beach with arrows in them and shit. And it was like, oh my God. It was like this. It makes you stay in bed at night. You're just like, I am not going out.
Jesus.
But I mean, yeah, it's a complicated topic because there's people that want to contact them. There's people that want to leave them alone. And then, of course, there's missionaries that are like, they need the Bible.
What did you think about Lost City of Z?
I loved the book. I wanted more from the movie.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's only so much time and
yeah.
Hollywood fuckery.
Oh, God. The book was fantastic. And that guy was out of his mind.
Out of his mind.
Out of his mind.
Yeah.
Percy Fawcett.
Yeah.
Percy Fawcett. But like the fact that he could go on those expeditions and not get infected. Mm-hmm. I've been brutally like, hold on, I'll show you this picture. I don't think there's any way of pulling this up, but like
oh my God.
Like the jungle just gets into your skin.
Oh, what is that on your face?
MRSA infection. It started like, mosquito bites, and then I would scratch, and then you don't realize you're spreading it with your fingernails, and you like go like this and shit. And so then, I mean, I almost died from that. Like that was, but I was staying in the jungle to like take care of an anteater. But it's like,
how did you get free of that? Like if you're in the jungle, did you use antibiotics?
Go home.
You just go home.
I had to go home at that point. I remember I got to JFK, and the guy, he like looked down at my passport. He goes, yeah, what were you doing in Peru? And then he looked up at me and he goes, buddy, what the fuck? And I was like, I'm just trying to get it. And he like stamped it. He was like, go, 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 go. He's like, go to the doctor. I can't believe they let me through.
Right. You could have been infected with some crazy plague.
Could have had like monkey Ebola. Like
yeah.
It looked bad. And I spent days in the hospital. Like it was really, really bad. But for Percy Fawcett to not, they would say like other people would be dying. There was somebody, I think the guy's name was Murray. He came from the Shackleton expedition. He'd already been out with Shackleton, so he was like, I'm a real explorer. And he didn't last any time with Fawcett. Because Percy Fawcett was just like, you can't keep up? Go die. You can go die with the mules. Like, he just wouldn't stop. So my question is like, did he go out and eventually get killed? Or did he eventually go out and like find the tribe that made him their king and just...
There's no knowledge.
There's no
right?
knowledge of it.
Yeah, no one really knows what happened to him.
And they said in that book that over 100 people have died looking for him since he left. Because then the other expeditions that have gone out, all of those have died.
In episode 1932, Merlin Tuttle shares his most dangerous Amazon adventure when curiosity almost got him killed by jaguars and river bandits.
So the village that we were staying with, the guys informed me that now way up the river, 30 miles or so, there was an area that I would love to have collected in, but I couldn't because it was controlled by a group of Yanomamo that had shot at everybody who'd ever gotten near there and, shot arrows. And so I was afraid to go up there to do any collecting. But then our group of Yanomamo informed me that these guys had gone off on a raid to attack another group and probably wouldn't be back for a couple of months. So I got brave and went up into their area where I didn't think they were going to be with a young man, Venezuelan, who worked for me. And we had just parked our dugout canoe on the bank and had gone out into the woods to set nets for bats when we hear 100 or so, maybe not 100, but a goodly number of Yanomamo men coming down the trail. And we immediately thought, oh my God, we're going to be absolutely dead ducks if they find us. But I did know that they don't usually go after their quarry. They usually wait in ambush. So we hid out in the jungle until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then tried turning our lights really dim and sneaking along without making any noise to get back to our canoe and hoping they were asleep. And we'll never know whether they were asleep or not because we did get shoved off and got away. But the very next night, we were stupid enough to think we had gone far enough away that they wouldn't find us, and we went back and tried to net again. And then we heard jaguar noises. And I had a Yanomamo and a Maikitari Indian working for me, and they immediately started warning me, that's not El Tigre. That's the Indians that we're trying to avoid. And
just making jaguar noises.
Right, to communicate among themselves.
Oh, wow.
But I insisted. I thought that these guys were just trying to get out of work because I'd been working them pretty hard and that they wanted to go to bed early that night. So I didn't really take them very seriously. And I went off with my shotgun. Back then we were collecting everything from jaguars to mice. And so in those days it was a big macho thing to shoot a jaguar. So I go off with my shotgun to hunt the jaguar, and it kept moving too fast without noise in between, and I finally dawned on me that, hey, this is more like Indians than jaguars to me even. I went back, and my guys were just ready to actually abandon me and leave me. They were so scared.
Oh, no.
We didn't even take the nets down. We got out of there as fast as we could, went back to camp, and the next day when we came back to get our nets, all the main strands of the nets had been stolen, proving that these were Indians that were after us. And we probably just got out in time.
Woo! So that's the most danger you've ever been in.
I don't know. I mean, there was the time I was crawling into a cave and on my belly in a narrow passage, and all of a sudden found that there was a big cobra coming out, and I had to lay perfectly still so that the cobra didn't get upset while he was going by.
So you had to lay perfectly still while the cobra slithered by you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And there was the time the river bandits came after us.
River bandits, where was that?
That was in Venezuela on the Costa Chiari Canal. We're getting into stories that probably ought to be told at another time when we're not distracting from bats, but
no, they're fun. We could go back to bats.
To put a long story shorter, the Costa Chiari Canal is the world's longest natural canal, and out in the middle of it, there are just no humans around. And we were camped out there collecting for the Smithsonian. But I carried a lot of small cash to do business when I did come to where there were villages. The small cash was hidden in false bottoms of trunks. The way I got the cash, we were funded through a military grant, and anybody that knows anything about the military knows they've got every restriction under the sun on their money and accounting for it. I had known that their rules weren't going to work very well for collecting. And so I had gotten bids from plane charter companies to fly us out to this remote savannah. And they were going to charge a lot of money because it was risky to the planes. And so I got the military to send the money to the Bank of America in Caracas. And then this was time when you had machine guns at the door of every bank. And I mean, it was a dangerous time in Venezuela, period. Well, we pretended to change Christmas gifts, and that's how we got our money into small change and took it back to our hotel. Then we put it in false bottoms of trunks. Then we go out to the frontier, and after a while the word kind of gets around that these guys can always pay for something. They must have some secret supply of money. So one day we're out at this remote camp, and my Venezuelan helpers, Indians, came running up saying, oh, you know, in Spanish, cuidado, the not vandals, but the robbers are coming. And they were coming up the river in a little motorized dugout. And so that's how my guys heard them in time to know that they were coming, and then they saw them and realized who they were. And so I had just a couple minutes. It's kind of interesting because I was reared to be a conscientious objector and, you know, didn't believe in fighting in war. And so here we are with the bandits coming armed with shot. It was kind of interesting. They had old muzzleloader guns that they actually used rocks and black powder still to shoot. But here they're coming, and I'm responsible for 8 or 10 people, their lives. And am I going to be a conscientious objector, or what am I going to do? And so I broke out all the guns we had, gave everybody one of the, you know, everything from an M1 rifle to a couple double-barrel shotguns, pistols, and got everybody positioned behind rocks and logs. And then as the bandits approached, I yelled down to them in Spanish that we understood who they were, and if they touched that rock, we were going to kill them. And they kept coming. And so I finally had everybody show themselves and their guns and yelled one more time. And the last time I yelled, they were within a meter of hitting the bank. And at that point, we'd have had to kill them.
Whoa.
But they finally, at the last minute, when they saw they were outgunned and that we had the upper hand, they backed up and went off.
That ought to be hair-raising.
It was.
Ooh.
But I learned a lot about my conscientious objector ideas.
You're ready to abandon it.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to let good people die just because you don't believe in firing a gun at a human?
Yeah, that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
A very important lesson to learn, right?
Yeah, it was an important one for me.
Boy, you've had some pretty amazing experiences just studying bats around the world. It's been a wild life, I bet, huh?
Well, I've never chosen to get myself into big adventures, but
The adventures chose you.
one of my all-time favorite things to do is to go places where almost nobody's ever been. Like when I went out to see the Shamatari Indians, I had to hike 46 miles across country from the last Yanomama village to get out there and see them. And I just went out there. I mean, I knew it was dangerous. How dangerous, I didn't know, but I just was driven by curiosity. Here's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a group of people that have only seen 2 other outsiders in their whole existence. And it was just so much fun going out there and experiencing that kind of thing. But I certainly got into high adventure while I was out there.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So you got to hike. How long did it take you to hike 46 miles to get to them?
Well, we did it in a day and a half. I had a 40-some pound pack. We went extra fast because I did not know when we started on the trip that the reason these two Shamatari came out to visit our Yanomamo group because they were looking for allies in a battle. They were expecting to be raided by another tribe.
Whoa.
And I didn't know this is why they were there. But when I asked through my interpreters, and let me point this out too, when you watch a movie and they're speaking pidgin English, there's no such thing as a place where people are really Aboriginal and you're speaking pidgin English to them. Everything I said on that whole trip out there had to be translated by me from English to Spanish, and then from Spanish to Maikitari, from Maikitari to Yanomamo, and from Yanomamo to Shamatari.
Oh, my God.
You can imagine there were a few miscommunications.
Oh, my God.
So,
what year was this? This was happening?
This was 1967.
Okay, so clearly there's no cell phones, no other ways of communicating.
Right.
Wow.
So we did not know that these guys were expecting an attack until we had already left with them to go out to their village.
Oh, boy.
And what we eventually found was that the reason they welcomed us so strongly was that they thought we'd bring our bang sticks with us, meaning guns, and be good in the battle.
Oh, boy.
And so by the time we got there, we found out that we had to camp out along the trail the first night, and we found out that they were expecting an attack. My two guys, I had to have a Yanomamo and a Maikitari for the translations to go. And incidentally, they knew enough that they wouldn't go. I had a terrible time getting them to go. When I finally convinced them, I had to pay them a month's wages for every day they went out there with me. So that first night, we set up camp by a beautiful stream in the jungle, and then my guys got really suspicious when our two Shamatari hosts went off by themselves quite a ways away in a hidden place in the jungle to put up little shelters for their night. And so they got suspicious, went and checked, and found that they were worried about being attacked. And they were leaving us out on the trail to be the bait. Oh. And but the next day we arrived out there, and my Maikitari guide had experienced, he had been in a Yanomamo village during an attack once. And so since we knew they were thinking of being attacked any time, he instructed me what to do if we were attacked. And he said, right off, play dead. And we were thinking that the attack might come at night. And sure enough, the very first night we're there, I mean, talk about scary experiences. Long before we thought we were being attacked, there were people that had malaria, and there were guys getting really high on drugs to chase the hikura, the devils, out. And they were going around
the devils out?
Right.
What do you mean?
They believed that everything was attributable to spirits.
Even malaria?
Yeah. There were good spirits and bad spirits. They hadn't evolved to think of one God and one devil. There were just a lot of spirits with good ones and bad ones. And they were trying to chase the bad ones out of the village by getting high on dope and then shooting those curare-tipped arrows at the hallucinated images.
What drugs were they getting high on?
Eben. It's a powder that I'm trying to think they make it from a vine, I believe.
And what is the psychedelic substance in this drug?
They blow it up their noses.
Oh, okay.
If you go to my website, there's a place on the website where you can. I'm trying to remember. We can tell you later exactly how to get to it. But I've got a place on my website where you can actually see that trip. Me out there I had a movie camera with me. You can see them blowing the dope up their nose, and I've got it on film right up until the guy tried to attack and kill me.
Comedian Tim Dillon joins Joe Rogan for jaw-dropping Amazon tales, uncontacted tribes, predators, and the wilderness that still holds all the power.
What makes them so cool is that they're there's areas in the Brazilian Amazon that are, uncontacted tribes and unexplored.
I had Paul Rosley on.
Yeah.
He's the guy that goes down there and he's like working to try to preserve these areas and protect them. And what they do is they wind up hiring loggers to now protect the forest.
Right.
Because they don't have any fucking jobs out there.
Of course.
So if they can hire them to do something good, that's what they want to do. They'd much rather do that. And so they do that now, and they've protected like a shitload of the
There's
Amazon
regions
rainforest
of the Amazon that are just impenetrable or crazy.
He was talking about it, and he was talking about his encounters with some of the natives. It's wild.
That's
shit.
crazy.
At one point in time, he thinks they were hunting him.
Really?
Yeah. He like peeked around. He saw someone with face paint on with a bow and arrow. He's like, oh my God. And he realized he was surrounded, and he got out of there.
That's so crazy.
Whoa. They just fucking kill people.
Right.
They find people encroaching because they've been killed. I mean, there's been like war going on between people that are like.
But if you go down there, could you become their god? Could you convince them you were a god?
If you had like sufficient fireworks.
That's the thing. Like if you went down there and were like, I'm your god.
They would shoot arrows at you still. They would try it out. Yeah. They wouldn't believe you. They don't know your language. You don't know theirs. So good luck learning
that's the problem.
Some Amazonian tribal language.
Yeah. But if you went down there with like some phones and crazy stuff, they might think you were a demon.
Floodlights.
Christopher Columbus used the eclipse, supposedly.
Oh, yeah, supposedly.
Yeah.
He told them the eclipse was coming. They all bowed down.
That's powerful if you know that shit's coming.
That's a dope move.
It's
they
a
knew shit
killer
back then,
move.
and they were doing that little sextant in the sky thing. That's how they fucking knew it. I mean, imagine making your way across the ocean, just looking at the stars through this thing,
and then just landing and going, "Hey, I know something's coming," and then predicting it, and then having them go, "Oh, this guy must be a god. He must be plugged in."
And you kind of can't do that anymore because the light from the planet, from all the cities and everything, it's like significant pollution. Stops you from seeing the stars unless you're like way the fuck out.
Also,
there.
their immune systems have been exposed to very little, so they could die from like nothing, from like a cold, right? Because that's
what killed most of the Native Americans. 90% of the Native Americans who died of like smallpox.
So it wasn't us.
No,
that's what got them stuck.
But didn't we give them blankets of smallpox?
Marine worms got them stuck.
I don't want to.
In 1504, Christopher Columbus, on his fourth transatlantic voyage, had been stranded with his men on the north coast of Jamaica. Their last two ships riddled with marine worms. So marine worms are worms that eat wood. So they eat through boats. So having said a small part of Spanish-occupied Hispaniola, 100 miles to the east, paddling canoes hewn from local timber. Yeah, they awaited rescue, but their food had run out, and the Jamaicans who had been pleased to provide provision them when they first arrived had tired of the trinkets the Spaniards could offer in exchange. Luckily, Columbus had astronomical tables with him, which indicated that a lunar eclipse was due on February 29th. Calling the local chiefs together, Columbus gravely told them the God of the Christians was all-powerful and very displeased with the Jamaicans' refusal to keep them fed. And as a sign of his wrath, the moon would be darkened and turn the color of blood that evening. Many of the natives laughed, although others were not sure. All were convinced when the eclipse began, as Columbus had told them it would. But hold on for this. You telling me they never saw an eclipse before? You telling me they had no idea that happened? That seems unlikely.
They might not know how to know it was going to happen that night, though. On leap year too.
The fact that he was timing the eclipse with his sand glass, re-emerging from at the appropriate juncture. The outcome was, as Columbus had anticipated, convinced of the power of this god, the Jamaicans fell to their knees, begging forgiveness. The stranded Europeans did not want for anything again before their rescue 6 months later.
That's cool.
It sounds a little like the UFO disclosure talk.
Yeah, a little odd.
I'd go with they've seen one, but they've had what would be? They probably thought it was a god, blocking it out for the night for some.
I'm
reason.
sure he probably did convince some of them that he was really smart.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He should probably be the leader. He knows when the eclipses are coming.
I've always wanted to see that area, but I'm not going to do it now. I just want, that's always interested me, that type of the Amazon, that area.
Oh, the Amazon's got to be amazing.
It's got to be amazing, right?
It's got to be amazing.
Really cool wildlife down there and beautiful the flora and fauna. It's crazy. It's like, but I just, there's a lot of, that's where you get a lot of disease carrying mosquitoes.
He said he saw a jaguar walk right by him. How far away did you say that jaguar was?
How beautiful, probably. Who said that? Columbus or Rosalie?
No, Paul Rosalie.
Okay.
Columbus said, I saw a jaguar walk right by me.
I don't recall. It
was real close.
That's one of the most beautiful animals,
Oh, my God.
The sloth, the river dolphin, the bottlenose dolphin, like this crazy, the anaconda.
The black caimans. I didn't know they got to be 16 feet long.
The black caiman. I mean, there's stuff there. There's spiders the size of garbage can lids. It's crazy.
It's a wild place, man.
It's a wild place.
And most of it is just completely just dense forest where you can't even barely get to.
I know. But, get some resorts. Get people to work.
They tried to do that in the Congo.
And what happened?
People tried to live
They went nuts. The arrows came in.
The jungle ate them.
The jungle eats you.
It's just too much. You
It's
can't
too
just...
much.
The Congo
It'll grow
is
around
just,
everything.
Yeah.
I still believe in the power of the four seasons. Like if they went in there and just slashed and burned. You got to do a burn.
A big one.
You got to do a big burn. You got to burn several acres of the rainforest.
Down.
A lot of concrete. I do think that's
Steel water.
We're going to have to start moving in that direction.
Steel water.
Oh,
Make a giant golf course. You
want a golf course? Those Madison Club properties. He should do.
Look at this anaconda.
Yeah.
Where's that?
But people would pay to see
Brazil.
that.
Oh, my God.
Now, what if it had drinks on it with a tray with drinks? It has a tray with drinks, and people are taking the drinks off it. There's money to be made.
Velcro it around its waist.
Yeah,
Keep it
there's
stable.
money to be made.
Oh, my God. Look at the size of that
Yeah,
thing.
they're big.
That thing is enormous. Rosalie said he got on top of one of them that he couldn't get his arms around.
Yeah.
He said it was 25 feet
Well, it probably
long.
just ate, because when they just eat, they...
No, he said it was the whole body was that big.
Interesting. But
was
a lot
that
of times,
big.
when an anaconda eats, it expands.
Yeah, but he said it was like the whole thing. It was going through his arms.
So it was just massive.
He got on top of it like a crazy person and wrapped his arms around. He said it slid through his arms. He said he couldn't touch his fingers.
Because it was so big.
It was that big.
Yeah, well, that's who's behind Lizzo on the tour now, because these bitches turned on her. There it is, Lizzo.
Oh, Lizzo.
God bless her.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the business she's in.
People turn. They turn. It's life.
Well, it's also she's a part of that outreach business.
She's a part of that. When you're in the machine,
Yeah.
she made her money. She made her money.